Paul Graham and Sam Altman, they say the same things. You like money compounds, saving compounds, but people compound too. And you want to do something where you can compound. People don't understand learning compounds. The more you learn, the more powerful things that you can learn. Audience also compounds. And that's where this like be vocal comes in, because the more audience you have, the faster you gain more audience. And people can't really see that. It's an exponential curve. People don't see that. And so the more fans you have, the faster you continue to get fans.
Welcome back to the Intelligent Conversations podcast. Today, as you can tell, it's going to be a little bit different format. I'm trying something new here. Today, I have the honor to learn from Edward Sturm. Edward is an entrepreneur, SEO, digital video, and image producer. Edward is the co-founder of the first play-to-earn game, which was named the top blockchain game in 2018 and 2019. He has done SEO consulting for Microsoft, Proctor Gamble, ADP, and Time. He's also created viral videos and images amassing to 300 plus million views over his lifetime. So this is a great episode. Edward was fantastic. He helped me a lot. And I'm sure for those of you interested in entrepreneurship as well, will also benefit from this as well. So without further ado, let's welcome Edward Sturm to the show.
So can I hear your story? I don't know anything about you.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I started this podcast 2 years ago. I was in high school and I decided, I was like, I'm going to start like just this selling Christmas trees or whatever, like just these miniature ones that I would make. And it did pretty well, like nothing crazy. But then I got invited onto a podcast and I'm like, yo, this is it. Like I just love this. So I started doing that, and then podcasting doesn't exactly, like, I just like doing it, and I didn't really want to monetize, to be honest. So
distribution for podcasts is near to impossible. You got to have an existing brand, or you need to be doing it for such a long time, years and years and years and years.
Exactly.
But there's no built-in distribution like there is with TikTok.
Exactly. And I'm like, all right, I got to make money, right? And so I went and started a window cleaning business, and that kind of funds this, and then I do that as well. But that's pretty much all about me.
That's cool.
And,
how are you getting customers to the window cleaning business?
I'm using it via, I don't know if you've heard of Thumbtack, so that will help generate leads. And then I've kind of structured it where I want repeat business, like my retention's pretty high, and because that's long-term growth is better than just making a lot of money all at once. It's
way brand equity. Oh man, I wish I understood the value of brand equity sooner. Wait, so what is Thumbtack?
It's pretty much a lead generation service. So they do like the SEO.
Is it for a specific niche?
Yeah, it's like home services.
Okay.
So if you need like anything done with.
So you don't really do the marketing yourself. You just have Thumbtack. Is it an agency, or is it like a Fiverr, an Upwork?
So pretty much what they do is the customer will come on and they'll say, oh, I need, like in Google search even too. So I use Google as well, but they'll type in window cleaning, and then first result.
You mean Google My Business? You use that?
Yeah, I use that. Yeah. And then I also use Thumbtack. So Thumbtack's really good with their SEO, and they'll get you up there. So then you're not like doing all that from scratch. And between this and doing like window cleaning,
what does it mean Thumbtack is good with their SEO?
Like it pops up first on Google page. Like when people type in window cleaning.
Is Thumbtack a directory?
Whatever home service.
Or is it like a services business? Or is it a marketplace for service providers?
It's a marketplace for service providers. So,
okay, so there are good SEOs on there who do work for your brand.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, I had heard the name, but I have no idea what it is. I have no idea what it is, and so I'm trying to understand it.
No, that's pretty much that, and yeah, and they have pretty good rates. So it's kind of like Angie. I don't know if you heard of that one as well, or TaskRabbit.
Yeah, I know.
Just like kind of things that you need done. Yeah, things you need done.
The podcast. Wait, so the podcast takes a lot of your time?
A little bit. I actually ship this off to edit the long form stuff, and then I do the short form on my own.
Okay. So you take clips of the podcast and then you turn it into videos, short, like under a minute videos for TikTok and IG Reels, and YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Okay. Dope.
Yeah. So I do that, and then I ship it off to.
Do you upload them all individually on each platform, or do you have like a tool that makes it all come out at once, or do you use different pieces of content per different platform?
Yeah, I upload them individually. So, like for Facebook and Instagram, you can just use the Meta Business Suite, and then for TikTok, I'll just schedule it via like the app on my computer.
Do you use the same short form for each platform? Like, will the same video go out on TikTok and IG Reels and YouTube Shorts?
Yeah, I did. I don't have
you should check out. I have like I've made a video, at least one video every day on TikTok since November 1st last year. I've made over 900 videos now, maybe 900. And when I started, I'm like, crazy. It's really wild. I've learned so much. And I'm growing now like at such faster rates than it's just so insane. Like it used to be where a good day I would grow. When I started, a good day would be like I grow like a few people every day. I get a few followers every day, and then it goes in spurts too. It comes in like it. You go in plateaus, and then you have steps. So you figure something out, and then you grow, and now your rate of growth increases. And so now my like minimum rate of growth is like 50 people a day. But on average, maybe it's like 100 or 110 people a day. And pretty soon it's probably going to be like 500 and then 1,000. And it's just, and I'm getting so much better at making content too, so much more engaging. But when I started, I needed a way to like, I felt like I was leaving so many views and followers and subscribers on the table because I was having videos come out on TikTok, but like they could be, I could be building a brand on Instagram and YouTube. And so there's a tool, it's called reusevideo.com. I'm their biggest affiliate. That's actually not the name of the tool. I mean, I bought a domain and then I redirect the domain to my affiliate code. So I'm saying my domain is reusevideo.com, but I swear by this tool because I am one of their biggest power users. I'm their biggest affiliate. And what it does is whenever you upload something to TikTok or IG Reels, I'll give TikTok as an example. I upload all my videos to TikTok. They come out everywhere else without the TikTok watermark, all simultaneously. So I put my video on TikTok. It comes out on IG Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. It comes out all those places you can schedule it to. I think I haven't put scheduling in, but on the podcast I recorded right before this, I was realizing why scheduling is important because it allows people to build habits around your content, around your brand. So I'm thinking about scheduling my videos so that they come out like first thing in the morning. And I think I'll do that. Yeah.
And it gives you more time too. So
oh my God. Uploading takes time. Uploading is annoying.
Oh yeah.
You gotta copy the description. You gotta set the settings for each video. Like, come on. And so you make these automatic workflows that save your settings and you customize different settings for different platforms. And then that's it. It runs on its own. And so it's just like, I don't even have to think about it. And I grow on each platform. It's crazy. It's such a hack. Like people don't understand it. And it doesn't take a lot of time to make a TikTok video either. And so I make one TikTok video and then it's a video for everywhere. And then I grow everywhere. Like it's insane. I'm so grateful for that tool. There was a point where I would have stopped if I didn't have that tool. That's how useful it is. Yeah, that tool. And I would also recommend Descript if you're not using it already.
Okay. Yeah, I've looked into Descript.
Descript is it's actually my videos started doing so much better when I started using Descript. I talk about them so much, I praise them so much. I don't know if they have an affiliate program. I wish they did because I plug them so much because they're so good. Editing with a transcript is so much better than editing with a timeline. So oh my God. I mean, I went to film school and I grew up editing with a timeline. Editing with a transcript is so much better. Also, Descript has all these AI features. It has like a one-click button that it's called Enable Studio Sound. And it takes all the background noise out. It makes your voice sound deep and beautiful and so pleasant to listen to. And even if you're recording on like crappy headphones, it still sounds good. And then if you're recording on a good mic, like I have a decent mic that I'm recording on, it sounds like pretty good. And yeah, it's amazing. I could rant about all these tools. Yeah.
I hear you. So I'll just give you like a brief overview of what kind of I have in store for us. But I mean, this is your episode. It's my show. So, I mean, if you want to include that parts, I can let the guy that does the long form stuff know.
The reason I started, I would include all of this, and I'll tell you why. The reason I started my podcast is I realized do you listen to My First Million?
I haven't listened to that one.
Okay. So it's one of the top business podcasts, and one of the hosts said that good content is just energy transference. And the person who's speaking is in a good zone and is sharing that with the people listening or watching. And that's what the best content is. It's like people are listening to podcasts for information, but also to feel like, especially business podcasts, for information, but also to feel a certain way. They want to listen and feel excited and while they're learning something. And that's what I gave at the beginning of this podcast, is me sharing tools and listening to you talk as well, and then being really excited about it. And so people will listen and they're gonna learn some new things. And then they're also going to feel good because I feel good. And that's like, it's just energy transference. So I would, if I were you, I'm not telling you how to run your show, but I would, my recommendation, like the reason I have my podcast is because I understand this phenomenon. It's good content is energy transference. The best creators in the world are built off of giving good energy, giving good vibes to the people who watch them or listen to them.
Gotcha. No, thank you. Like I said, there's 3 reasons I do the show. Number 1, I like to keep the audience in mind. Then number 2, I hope you have a great experience. Then 3, the selfish reason, is I get to learn from guys like you and just awesome stuff. And yeah, I guess that's what I get to do there. And if this blows up, then maybe I get some fame or whatever. But
how did you find me?
I think you reached out to me on Podmatch or whatever.
Did I? Maybe I did.
And you did that, yeah. And you did that pickup line or whatever. It's
what did I say?
You game?
No, I said, hey. I said you. No, you game. Like you game. Like it's like, are you game for for a show? No, are you game for a show?
Oh.
Yeah. Like, are you like you down?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. But I actually stopped. I love Podmatch, but I stopped using it now because most people, my show just gets enough listeners that, and I have my TikTok, so I feel like I don't need to plug myself on other shows anymore. And that was like right before I kind of like got off it. Yeah, I went on a spree and I said, hey, you game? And I messaged that to like everybody.
There you go. No, it worked. I thought it was hilarious.
It's an amazing line for getting shows. It's so I used to write these like long, I listened to your show, I think I would be a good fit because of this and that. And then I'm just like F this. And I just started messaging, hey, you game, to everybody. And I got on all these shows. And then after getting on like so many more shows, and I was already like, when I started on Podmatch, I was going on like, I don't know, 10 podcasts a month. It was great. If you want to go on podcast, Podmatch is great. Now I have my own Podmatch, so like I'm cool. But I sent these long messages, and hey, you game is so much. I want to use this with like cold emails to people. I think it's
just send them that.
Yeah, I gotta try that with like some like really top people. It's so easy to get like a billionaire's email address. Like one time I sent a video message to the trainer on WhatsApp to the trainer for Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. I was able to find his phone number. And then this is a trick. If you use a tool, it's called Lucia.com. It's a Chrome extension. then you see you use it with LinkedIn and it shows people's emails and phone numbers, and then you get their phone number and then you put that phone number into your contacts and you open it on WhatsApp, because people get less messages on WhatsApp, and the messages are usually more personal. And then to be like super extra, I sent a video message. And it was I wanted to pitch a guy something, and it was to the author of the book Relentless, which is a very well-known business book. I love that book. And Michael Jordan's trainer and Kobe Bryant's trainer, a legendary guy in basketball.
Yeah, I actually just started because I've been really into the Lex Friedman show recently, and he interviewed Walter Isaacson, who wrote like the biographies of Leonardo da Vinci and Steve Jobs and Albert Einstein. He just came out with the one for Elon Musk. I started the one with Steve Jobs, and that one, it's so fascinating. I just fell in love with it. I'm like, everyone's got to read this book if they want to just make something great.
It's one of the best biographies ever written.
You think so?
I think so. First of all, Walter Isaacson is incredible. But the Steve Jobs bio, the one with him on the cover in black and white, thick Bible biography of Steve Jobs, that was one of the first like real biographies that I read. I mean, I guess now that I'm more well read, I haven't reread it, but I loved it. I was so energized. I learned so much. It was such an epic. I don't cry, but if I could, I would have cried at the end of the book.
Oh, shoot. Don't spoil it. I haven't finished it yet. So
what do you mean don't spoil it? Everyone knows.
That's true. That's true. Everyone knows the ending. Yeah. But he gave... It's just interesting to see like kind of the details we don't focus on. And then aren't even aware of. And it's like, oh, that makes so much more sense of why he was that way.
Yeah.
And why, like, people that said he worked for him, they're like... just from my, like, how I viewed it to begin with, from what I heard, people said, oh, working with Steve Jobs, it sucked. He was a jerk. Like, he was just pain in the butt. But starting to read that, I'm like, honestly, it makes a lot more sense. And I see why people stayed, too. Because it's like, why would you, like, if he's just like that the whole time, why would you stay? It's like
energy transference. He was passionate. But I will say, what's his name? Steve Wozniak went on... the three Steves. I made a video about this and people were making these jokes. So Steve Wozniak went on Steve-O's podcast to talk crap about Steve Jobs. The three Steves. Yeah. And so Wozniak, he goes on Steve-O's podcast and he's like, yeah, Steve Jobs is one of the worst people ever. Working for him was a nightmare. Like he's remembered so fondly in death, but he shouldn't be because he was such a bad person. And I think Wozniak was either like a bit high or a bit drunk. And so he just really went on this rant about how much he doesn't like or didn't like Steve Jobs. And still over a decade after the guy has passed away, still doesn't like him. Pretty crazy.
That is crazy to think about. That
it's wild. It's wild to watch it. It's a short clip. You could probably just search Steve. You could probably search Steve Wozniak, Steve-O, talking about Steve Jobs. Yeah,
I think I've seen that clip on, the socials of him pretty much ripping into Steve Jobs, saying, I hated working for him. He was he was not fun. But I think that right there is like, it wasn't fun working for him. But I think just looking back and saying, okay, we actually built this. Like that's where they can't really diss on him. It's like he helped us like push us to that point.
For sure.
And it's the same with Michael Jordan, right? Where I watched the Last Dance, right? And a lot of these players, right, that were playing with him said that he's just complete like jerk. Like he's the worst. But then all the players, every single one of them, he said every time when we got to that championship and we held up that trophy, it's like, you know what? I got to thank him.
It was worth it. Yeah. Some people said the same thing about Jobs. A lot of people said the same thing about Jobs. I think, Wozniak especially is probably more entitled. Wozniak was going to be successful regardless, but also like he was one of the first people to experience success because he was a co-founder. And so he might have been more entitled. But yeah, regarding Jordan, I've also, everyone knows Jordan was not a, like, there's this story of this like famous musician. I wish I could remember who the musician was. It might have even been Kanye or something. Someone really, or maybe it was J. Cole. God. But the musician sees Jordan, and I think the musician like a kid, and has the opportunity to like just dab it with Jordan, and Jordan won't do it. Yeah, he wouldn't do it. Yeah, he just wouldn't do it.
I don't know if people told this story, but I went to a camp because I was really into basketball when I was younger, and I still love it. And I went to this basketball camp actually, and the trainer that was with he helped train Kawhi Leonard, and that was the year the Spurs had won the championship. It's like a lot of people wanted to train with this guy, and it was just a camp. There's quite a few kids there because this trainer helped train Kawhi Leonard, and he actually had played during the 90s, and he realized. So people started asking him because he did like this Q&A session, and they're like, well, who'd you play for during the 90s? He's like, oh, I played, like, I was a bench warmer on the Bulls. Like, I didn't play much, but there was this time where Michael Jordan, he starts sharing the story with about Michael Jordan, how competitive he was. And he talked about, so there's a player, BJ Armstrong, he's the point guard. He was pretty good at ping pong. Most athletes usually are good at, they're somewhat good at another sport as well. And he's pretty good at ping pong. And he's like, hey, Michael Jordan, like kind of trying to get back at him from all those days at practice. Like, let's play some ping pong. And he beat Michael Jordan. So, Michael Jordan, he was very respectful. He said, he's like, okay, good job. You won. And, they had bet some money on it. So they gave him some money. What Michael Jordan ended up doing, though, is he went home, and none of the other teammates knew this. He went home. He was so ticked that he lost that he sold his grand piano and bought a ping pong table. And then he hired a professional, like the guy that had won the Olympics that year in ping pong, to train him. And then for 6 months after basketball practice, he would learn how to play ping pong. And then 6 months later, he invites all the teammates, and apparently it was pretty rare for like him to invite all the teammates to his home. So, they're like, oh, what's up? And then the first thing he does is they see this ping pong table set up in the front room where the grand piano used to be. And then he walks in, he's like, all right, BJ, let's go. And they went, and he just absolutely wrecked him. But that's when everyone knew, he's like, oh my gosh, this guy does not want to lose. But yeah, just kind of interesting story.
Savage. I actually love that. I think I have the same. I love L's. I wanted to talk about that on this show. By the way, I want to plug Descript one more time and tell you how amazing. Because I have a question, just as like a fellow podcaster. Do you have to pay to use Riverside?
Yeah, it's just an annual thing. So
okay, yeah, because when you use Descript, it comes with, they acquired Squadcast, which is like a competitor to Riverside. So that comes free with Descript. It's just I was curious as a fellow guy.
You can maybe.
But I love L's because they motivate me. They motivate me a lot. And I had a video that I spent 4 hours on yesterday, which is like 4x the time that, maybe even more, that I usually spend on a video. And I put it out yesterday, and it did really bad. And that motivates me so much. Mm-hmm. Like, I actually really without L's, when things get too good, I get so much worse. I need the L's to slap me in the face and insult me to make me do my best work. Exactly.
It pushes you to do great work. And I mean, again, since we're on the Steve Jobs topic, I mean, that's what he said. He's like, you don't want to get to the end of your life and say, oh yeah, I kind of did some mediocre work. I think most people want to get to the end of their life and say, no, I did some great work.
Yeah.
And so that's a question I kind of want to ask you. And that's, how do we kind of pursue that great work? But like, I mean, we can use those guys as role models, but I think we need to actually kind of form our own identity out of it as well. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, that's actually Do you know who? I don't know how involved with tech you are, but what's his name? Paul Graham, the founder of Y Combinator, this billionaire tech legend. Yeah, he writes these essays, and he literally just wrote an essay maybe like a month and a half ago. It's called "How to Do Great Work." Yeah, it's literally called "How." There's your answer. It's from Paul Graham himself, the guy who created the accelerator that brought out Airbnb and Reddit and so many amazing startups that Sam Altman, the CEO and co-founder of OpenAI, was president of for years. This guy created Sam Altman. And so he wrote this essay, How to Do Great Work. And one of the things that he talks about is he says, like, and this is something that I talk about on my podcasts and my videos, and it was only something that I realized in the last year, was just pick something that you can do solo. Solo is easier because when you have co-founders, you have to depend on other people, so it's riskier. But if you really trust somebody, okay. But like a lot of people will let you down, especially if you're like one of the most hardworking people you know. It's really risky. But let's just say, let's say you're a solo founder, you're a solopreneur. So how to do great work? Pick something you genuinely like, do it every day, and then talk about it. And the way to do great work is to do it every day, because you just get better. You get better at doing it. And the reason you talk about it is because that creates top of mind awareness around whatever it is that you're doing. Top of mind awareness, people don't really understand that concept. It's one of the most powerful concepts in business and marketing. And it's, you want people to, when they think of your niche, you want them to think of you. When you think of fast food, you think of McDonald's. When you think of shoes, you think of Nike. It used to be when you thought of podcasts, you thought of Joe Rogan, which is why Joe Rogan had his podcasts acquired by Spotify for $200+ million.
Which is crazy.
Crazy. And it's because of top of mind awareness. And the people who just build in stealth mode in the dark for years, that's the dumbest thing you can do. Doing something every day but not having people know about it is the worst thing, because you need to build a community, you need to create top of mind awareness. So what you do by doing something you love and doing it every day and talking about it is you build an audience, and people know you for that thing, and then you become really good at whatever that thing is, and that's how you do great work, in my opinion.
So I want to just kind of counter this, because I find myself guilty of this too. Sometimes I'll have this idea, I'm like, okay, maybe I can build this, or maybe I can't, and then I just kind of say it. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this and this and this, and I kind of lay out this plan, and then it doesn't work at all. Like, it just completely flops.
Yeah, actually, I talk about this all the time. No, ask your question. I'm sorry.
So I guess, how do you kind of, either pivot from that, or like adjust, or how do you deal with that?
Here's what I'll say. There's this critical error that most young people make, and I'm saying this as somebody who made it myself. And the error is that most people, actually, there's a post at the top of the entrepreneur subreddit about this. And so the post is called The Long Cut. And most people they spend so much time and effort looking for shortcuts, and they would have been so much better off if they just stuck with one thing and did the long cut, because the long cut is a true shortcut. If you go at something for a long time and you hit it from different angles, and yeah, you can pivot, but that's building up brand equity, and brand equity is like such a powerful thing. It's building up people around whatever it is that you're doing, and you're still getting better. You can still switch. You can switch into a niche. You can switch into a different product, but you still have that equity around the brand. You still have users that you can go to. You still have email list subscribers. You still have followers on LinkedIn and Twitter, and you can switch to that. But most people, they start brand new companies, and like most people abandon things that otherwise would have been lucrative if they had just stuck with it for a few more years. And then instead what they do is they waste those years looking for the shortcuts, looking for the immediate hits. And those things fail. and they're left with nothing. But if they had just stuck with that first thing, then they would have made it. And it's like, oh my God, it's the most, that's why it's like, even doing something on the side, I just really believe that if you do something for long enough and you talk about it, you gotta talk about it. You need to open up opportunity by talking about it all the time. But if you do it long enough, you will unlock wild opportunities. And I wish I understood that sooner, but I really understood that this year. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm growing pretty fast now. I can't believe how fast I'm growing. I have more people reaching out to me every day than I can respond to. I can't respond to everybody anymore. That was the reason why I stopped going on other people's or me messaging people to go on their shows. It's just because now I have more opportunity than I can use. And even Paul Graham writes that in his essay. Paul Graham and Sam Altman, they say the same things. Money compounds, saving compounds, but people compound too. And you want to do something where you can compound. People don't understand. Learning compounds. The more you learn, the more powerful things that you can learn. Audience also compounds. And that's where this be vocal comes in. Because the more audience you have, the faster you gain more audience. And people can't really see that. It's an exponential curve. People don't see that. And so the more fans you have, the faster you continue to get fans. So anyway, my answer to you is it didn't fail. You just gave the only way that you fail is when you give up, and your thing didn't fail. You just didn't go at it long enough. If you went on it, how long ago did you start that?
It was about, I guess here's just kind of the idea here. I found these window cleaning robots that someone had made, and I'm like, oh, I bet I could probably sell these. I mean, I was doing window cleaning myself, and it's like, all right, I think this would be a good idea. And, I test them out, and they worked all right. I'm like, if we could just get enough of these, it would be more cost effective. It's just, it'll just work that way. But then, I ran into some technical errors. It's like there's a cord attached to it, so people would be tripping over cords, or so the battery life wasn't long enough. And that actually, I mean, kind of to play on your thing, and now that I kind of realized this, it kind of forced me into this mindset of, okay, maybe you should just adjust it yourself. Put in a battery maybe that can help it run longer, so then you don't need it constantly connected to a power source or whatever it may be. So that's just, and I've been doing it for 2 years. I guess I came across that idea around after a year. So
wait, so you gave up or you didn't give up?
I just kind of pushed it aside. That I guess that's the thing too, is I get distracted easily too. So I'll get obsessed with starting companies is fun. Sticking with them, because people don't understand, there's always going to be a trough. There's usually going to be a trough of sorrow. There's usually going to be a dip in engagement at the beginning, and most people can't make it past that. And you got to understand that if you will make it past that, and then and you just year over year you'll get pretty big, and And then what it comes down to is it just eventually you'll get to a point where you're making a decent amount, and then it just comes down to being a good operator. Can you delegate? Can you develop good inbound strategies so you're not just relying completely on ad spend? Or if you are relying on ad spend, how much margin can you get? It'll come down to operating and executing. But so many people just struggle to get to that point in the first place. And the reason that they struggle to get to that point is because they give up too fast. They try a million different things, and they waste all their time and their energy, and they burn themselves out. And then they get to a point where they're old and they're sad and they have anxious. And then they realize in old age, oh my God, all these things had potential. And they look at other people who did the things that they were trying to do. They realize, actually, a lot of them don't even realize it. A lot of them
a lot of them won't blame themselves. But anyway, it's pretty simple. Life is actually pretty simple. I think success is pretty simple. I think it's like really simple. It's just do something every day, get better at it, tell people about it nonstop. And that's it. That's success. That's it. And then you got to figure out how to operate. And that's a whole new set of challenges. But like getting to like, you know, what's the amount of money that people say you need for, like, it used to be like make $70,000 a year. And that's like baseline. That's enough to have baseline happiness. That's no longer the case. Maybe it's $140,000 a year. I still think it's pretty easy to get to that. And then if you want to get to millions a year, or you want to get to billions a year, then you got to be a good operator and a good executor and good at delegating. But getting to that baseline level of income so that you could have the baseline happiness, that's pretty easy. And people just give up. They're not willing to do something for 2 years. Here's how you do it. You do it for 2 years. And then you're there. And then if you really want to grow, you got to learn to execute. You got to talk to people who are smart. You really got to be like going out of your way to learn from other people and surrounding yourselves by the best people. But at the beginning, it's just stick with something and be vocal.
I like that. No, that kind of gives me some reassurance that maybe, because there is that anxiety, especially.
You're in a great niche. You're in such a good niche, man. Like, do you know the genre of videos called oddly satisfying?
No. Oh wait, isn't that the one where they like pretty much just video themselves doing work?
No, well, sometimes, but oddly satisfying, it's just things that are like hypnotic to watch on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels. It could be 3D animations that loop, that are just hypnotic. It could be like someone rolling this is one that's really popular right now. Someone will roll a glass filled with colorful beads downstairs until the glass breaks. And there's usually some element of ASMR involved. Power washing, actually. Power washing is oddly satisfying. People love watching power washing videos. And I think window cleaning, I actually know that is oddly satisfying as well. You can check out this. You're on TikTok, right?
Yes. So
check out this channel. It's called Interesting Truth. And their most popular video has 73 million views. I think that channel is making $2.7 million a year based off of ad revenue and affiliate commissions. And that's my estimate. But 212 million views a month. And then its most popular video has 73 million views. And what it does for retention is it gives interesting facts. Then it gives commands to make you engage with the videos that are disguised as facts. Like, did you know that TikTok knows who has a crush on you? Tap on share, then WhatsApp and the second person is that person who has a crush on you. And so it'll do like these clever little tricks to get you to engage with the video. But it's an AI voice narrating interesting facts, and in the background are oddly satisfying videos. And one of those videos is somebody cleaning a window. And that is a very like, you know what else is cool is like I'm listening to My First Million. I talked about this, one of the top business podcasts, and they have on a guy who was like a pickup instructor. Pickup is one of the worst things to monetize. You can get to that 140,000 very easily with pickup, very, very, very easily. But to get big, it's hard, and the bigger you get, the more risk you bring to yourself with cancel culture. But the thing that a lot of like the most famous coaches don't understand is that they get very loyal followings that they should be using to launch other businesses. And instead they stay in this like lane of just like, I'm going to trade my time for coaching. And that's where the mistake is. And so the guest on this episode of My First Million, he was one of these coaches, but he started all these other businesses in the health and wellness space. And that translated very well to men who were also like trying to learn success with women, who are trying to become better at social dynamics. Those people also want to better themselves in health and wellness, whether it's meditation or eating clean or doing all sorts of things that would make them healthier. And so this guy, he had somewhat, his name is, I think it's called More Plates, More Dates. I think that's
I've seen that. I have seen that.
Yeah. So he opened all these businesses in health and wellness, and the guy's crushing, making millions and millions and millions of dollars every month, very big. And he didn't stay within that lane of like just dating coaching. He opened all these other businesses. And so like for you, why is this relevant to you? Well, like, I don't know how much can you make? I guess you could like franchise a window cleaning business and build a brand around it. But what you could do is I'm sure that the people who are interested, who like watching like window cleaning videos, there's probably something that they have in common. And you can figure out what that is. So this channel, Interesting Truth, it makes these interesting fact videos, and it sells things to the people who like consuming this content the most. So it's selling like at first it was selling a no nicotine vape. No nicotine vape, like cut your bad habits with this vape. And now it's selling like green moss because it's like the super health product. And I'm sure that there's something similar that you could do. But yeah, you're like, window cleaning is, people love watching that. Man, maybe you could even I wonder if you could even do a show around it and build a personal brand. I don't know. There's probably some crazy things that you could do around window cleaning.
I'm sure I could. That's for sure. And
if you wanted to, but I don't know what you want to do. I don't know what you're passionate about. At the end of the day, like success is just pick something and just stick with it for years. And usually like the TAM, the total addressable market, is a lot bigger than people realize, but they think too small in terms of what the total addressable market could be. They think it's just X when really it's WXYZ, but they think it's just X, and usually the TAM is a lot bigger.
No, I agree with that, and yeah, I love that, because I mean, to answer the one question, for sure, I'm still trying to figure out, and it's also like you have to have that vision for yourself as well. Like, okay, where do you see yourself? Do you see yourself doing this 40 years? No, not really. You
don't need to do it for 40 years. You need to do it for 10 years. And then you'll have enough to like retire comfortably and provide for your kids. Like $100 million outcomes come from doing something for 10 years and being vocal about it at the same time. It's just, most people like, that's it. It's so simple. Like people don't, especially when you're young, you don't understand. You don't understand like how audience especially compounds. Audience especially, because when you stick with something, when you become known as like that person in that niche, you become the niche, and niches are a lot bigger than people think, and yeah, then you can use that to launch other businesses and do all sorts of other things.
And it allows you to expand into other niches. I mean, that's how.
That as well. And because you have money, you can automate, and now you know how to run businesses. You can delegate too. That's the execution side. You can delegate people to manage the businesses in those other niches, because you've done it in this niche, and you can say, okay, this is like how we're going to figure this niche out.
Yeah, no, that for sure. And I mean, that's how Facebook was. Like, what it was originally just meant for college students to connect, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh wait, this is a lot bigger than I think we even understand. And
that's how people who are interested in software, that's how they should do it. We're actually, so I figured out, I think it's a fundraising hack. If you want to, this is a way, I figured this out totally by accident. And I became friends with this guy. He worked in private equity, and he got laid off. And he's like, all right, now he's like, what should I do to make money? And he said, okay, I'm going to just help my founder friends fundraise for their businesses. And he called me, he's like, do you have a business that I can help you fundraise for? And I said to him, I'm like, instead, like, you know a lot of investors, right? He's like, that's all of the people that I know. And I'm like, how about instead of like fundraising for me and you getting like a cut under the table or whatever, the way that you want to structure it, how about we actually just do a business together, because you're interested in the parts of business that I'm not interested in. Like, I'm interested in marketing, but I don't really want to do operations. This guy is interested in finance and operations and in fundraising. I don't like fundraising. I want to spend my time building, like, I want to spend my time like marketing. And yeah, so I have builders. I have so many developer friends, more than I know what to do with. I have so many developer friends who want to do startups with me. And I actually wanted to fundraise. I was considering fundraising through my audience for a new kind of startup, one that is not based on a specific idea for a specific niche, but is more based in a process. I believe that if you follow a similar process, you will be successful every time. And that process is doing lean MVPs, then launching quickly, and then learning what people like and what they don't like and how they are using your product, building out certain inbound funnels with search engine optimization, now with TikTok as well. And then you're building up your authority in this domain. You're finding out how people are using your product and building it towards that and making it better. And you're staying lean. You don't have a lot of developers. You don't have a big team. You're outsourcing everything. And all of my best people are outsourced and running something like that. And that is the process. That's a process. And so I said, what if instead of like I believe that if you follow that process, you will always be successful. I think anything can be successful. If you follow that process, you will always be successful. And so I said, dude, why don't you go and fundraise for this process and not for a specific idea? I think it's so cool. I think it could work. I was going to try that myself with my own audience. And so now he's off fundraising. And the hack is, so the hack that I discovered is a lot of people, when they want to fundraise, I think trying to fundraise, unless you have warm connections or a lot of traction and people are just like hitting you up, fundraising is stupid. Fundraising cold is dumb. And so you're better off actually building and getting traction so that investors hit you up. But there's a hack. And that hack is there's a way to get those warm connections. That is, become friends with a finance person who has those warm connections, and then ask that a lot of people want to do their own startups. Startups are still so cool and sexy. And then invite that person to be a co-founder to take care of the work that you don't want to do, which could be operations. And then to do fundraising as well with their connections. And that was a hack that I discovered accidentally. This guy was a friend. I didn't befriend him because I'd be able to fundraise with him. But I realize now that if I had a startup that I wanted to fundraise for, what I would do, I'm in New York City, is I would just go to a ton of finance events and not try to sell anything. I would just become close friends with finance people, and then eventually I would screen them, and then the people who I thought were right, I would say, let's do a startup together, and that's what I would do. And I think you'd have a pretty good shot of fundraising a pretty solid seed round, a several $1 million seed round.
I agree, and I mean, you mentioned you kind of dropped a Y Combinator. I actually took like their startup school or whatever, the free stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, when they were talking about co-founders, it's like, look, you have a certain skill set. Like, don't try and develop a skill set that's not your own. Like, just develop your own. But then find a co-founder that kind of meets that other end of the skill set. And then you both have to be willing to stick with it long enough, kind of looping back to what you said.
That's if you're doing something where you need another person for. Like, the reason that I like content businesses so much is you can do a content business even if you're not a developer. And anyone can get good at making content. It just requires this. It's the same at getting good at playing a sport. So, but startups are like riskier because there's more people involved usually, unless you're the marketer and the developer. Yeah. Oh, and then I guess if maybe you get funding right away, and then you can hire developers, and that's fine too. And you're the marketer, but then you need to do operations, and it's still tough. I think this is a real, like in my case, I have a specific case, which is that I have plenty of developer friends. I'm one of the best marketers that I know, but I don't like selling. I don't like fundraising. And I don't like operations, like finance and structuring a company. I've done it. I prefer to spend my time doing marketing. And having someone who likes doing that, that's a crazy hack. And yeah, startups doing a project with other people is very risky. You're right. You need to, the other aspect of this process that like we're selling on the process where we're trying to fundraise for a process and not an idea. The other aspect is you try to make MRR, monthly recurring revenue, right away. And then you monetize right away. And hopefully by the time you do your next round, you're not doing your next round because you have to, because you need the money. You are in full control because your business is already making so much money, and you can do that by following this process. It's kind of a slightly different. It's a version of like the lean startup method, but with but it's more based in finding go to market very early, which like I think another reason that so many startups fail is because they like just a lot of startups, they exist in stealth mode and they don't try to find go to market until it's too late, and then it's harder than they thought, and then it becomes demoralizing, and then they quit.
Yeah.
And
like they spent all this time working on something that perhaps is a great invention, innovation, whatever it may be, but then all of a sudden when they have to actually go out and generate revenue for it, or
a lot of people are so much better off just starting with getting the customers. That's like if you have the customers, if you have the market, you can build whatever. And building something is usually not the problem. It's usually not the problem. Like building is like, unless you're trying to build something really crazy, like unless you're, making a spaceship to Mars or that's a problem. Unless you're building something that really requires a ton of capital and expertise, usually that's not the case. That is usually not the case. It's getting the customers that's the case. And so many founders, they don't start with trying to get the customers. And building is because building is fun. Building and launching like that's really fun. And grinding to figure out your go to market, that can be hard and demoralizing. But once you have that figured out, then you can build and be really successful.
I agree.
I'm getting like this has been a good. How is this show? Is this a good show?
Oh, this is great. No, I love it. And great. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, I've definitely learned a lot, and I'm sure for anyone listening also is learning a lot if they are interested in starting a business or yeah, I love the expertise that you bring to this and all that. So I do wonder though, like the hard part is actually coming up with a idea, I would say, that's actually solves a problem. Like sometimes I get these big ideas and then I'll start like, okay, let's do this and this and this and this and this. And then it becomes bigger. And then it's like, okay, what problem am I solving? And I kind of fall into that trap.
What type of business are you looking to start? Are you trying to build a piece of software? Are you trying to do a content-based business?
Well, I would say I'm honestly just in the stage right now where I'm just experimenting with a lot of things, just trying to figure out what it is I actually like to begin with. So, if that makes sense.
How is the window cleaning business doing?
It's doing pretty good.
If I were you, I would stick with that. I would stick with that for the next 10 years. And if you stick with that for the next 10 years, you'll branch out into a bunch of different things. The main business will grow. It'll give you revenue to do R&D with. And if you stick with that for the next 10 years, I will guarantee you. I mean, what amount of money do you want? Like, yeah, tell me what amount of money, like personal net worth, like what do you want? and something liquid net worth. Like, what do you want in 10 years? What do you want in 10 years?
Well, honestly, I don't know how to describe it, but it's
100M.
Sure. I mean, honestly, as long as the basic needs are taken care of, that's all. I just like the satisfaction of building something from nothing to something, and I want to make it as big as possible. So that's where I'm more concerned with.
How long ago did you start this business?
2 years ago.
And is it paying for your basic needs or no?
No.
Is it getting close?
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine next summer for sure.
Okay. So it sounds like you just have to put up with the pain of the insecurity and the hard work and a little bit of unknown, though I actually think it's a lot more known than you realize. This is like, here's the other reason why sticking with something makes such a huge difference. Usually when you stick with a business, you do all these different things to market it. And you spend all this time, and sometimes those things, they have a latent effect. Maybe you needed to make 20 podcasts or 50 podcasts before you had a good enough library for people to go and binge on. Maybe you needed to be consistent so that people build a habit around your brand. Maybe the SEO funnel took 6 more months to kick in than you expected. So some things can have a latent effect. But what's happening in that time is that you're trying all these other things. So you're doing all this marketing, and then eventually things just start picking up. And the problem with abandoning businesses is because people will do all this marketing for a product, and then they'll abandon the business. That marketing will have picked up, but they'll already be working on something else. And the weight of inertia is very hard. Now they don't want to switch and go back to the other thing. And it's just like, it's really so simple. And I think window cleaning, it's a local business, yeah?
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever, it's local, it can expand like so many ways that a window cleaning business could. I mean, look at like 1-800-GOT-JUNK. I'm not sure if that's a $1 billion company, but I think the founder is worth like 100M. And 1-800-GOT-JUNK, the founder of that podcast, or that podcast, the founder of that business went on the My First Million podcast to talk about how insanely wealthy he is. And like, that was he started that business just going around with a truck and getting people's junk.
That's cool. And
dude,
I'm
fading a little bit. I don't know if you can tell.
No. Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, we can wrap this up. If people want to find you, like reach out to you, because I mean, you brought a lot of energy here and I'm sure you'll bring that to them as well. What's the best way that they can like follow you on social, all that fun stuff?
My podcast is The Edward Show. You could search The Edward Show, Edward Sturm, anywhere that you get your podcasts. On TikTok, I am Build in Public. If you just search Build in Public, I come up number 1. On Instagram, I love Instagram, edward.builds. And then on Twitter, I'm Show Progress. Show Progress on Twitter, because I'm always showing progress. I'm building in public. I'm showing progress. I'm building. Yeah, and then my podcast is The Edward Show.
That's cool. Well, yeah, I'm for sure checking. Like, I listen to a few, and I'm gonna be sure to stay tuned as well. And yeah, thank you for coming on, Edward. I learned a lot, and I mean,
where are you based?
I'm sure. I'm in Utah. So
okay. Well, if you're in New York City anytime soon, hit me up.
Oh, for sure. I'm sure I'll actually be there here and there. So yeah.
Dope. Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Edward. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this episode. I know it was a bit all over the place, but I appreciate you tuning in and listening to us. If you're on Spotify, there is a thing on the bottom with a question asking if you like this format. If you like this format, please let me know. I would appreciate the feedback, as I want to make sure you guys get the best content you can. I kind of like this format. It was fun. But as you can tell with this episode, Edward Sturm, he's a very intelligent person, has great things to share. I challenge you guys, if you want to reach out to him, to do that. I think he would be happy to talk with you and help you out, whatever problems it may be. He gave the information there for you guys to reach out to him and follow him on the socials. So stay tuned till next week. We have a great guest lined up for you guys. See you guys next week, and let's get after it. Hey everyone, if you liked this episode and would like to hear more, be sure to hit that subscribe or follow button. We release a new episode every Wednesday for you guys to listen to. Thank you guys so much for the support that you give. We could not have done this without you guys. If you would like to be a potential guest on the show, check out intelligentconvos.com and fill out the form there. Thank you guys again, and let's get after it.